Hey there! Welcome to SkyGems Academy podcast. At SkyGems Academy, our vision is to build a community of new generation leaders with strong core values, high level of self-awareness, high self-worth, and passionate individuals who will give back to the community and the environment. We are focused on delivering high-quality blended online learning of 21st century life skills delivered and taught online, practiced and perfected offline. Our philosophy is to inspire, educate, and nurture. We work towards inspiring and igniting sparks. We listen, we coach, we fine-tune and accelerate the mastery of 21st century life skills for various age groups. Our blended learning programs are curated from the early years to above 60 years old, as we believe in providing high-quality, lifelong learning for everyone. SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1: How COVID-19 Transformed the Education Industry. We will take you inside the minds and behind the scenes of 40 exclusive leaders and educators in the education industry. We've interviewed 40 exclusive educators and leaders in the education industry worldwide, starting with China, where the pandemic initially started. You will hear from the leaders in the education industry sharing candidly their views on the possible changes that will take place in the education industry post-COVID-19. Be sure to tune in to SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1 to listen and learn from the amazing stories, experiences shared, challenges faced, and techniques used by educators in different cities and countries to adapt and overcome their challenges personally as well as professionally in their respective roles in the education industry during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, let's dive into SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1. Introducing to you our host, Alyssa.
Hey guys, it's Alyssa. Hope everyone is keeping well. SkyGems Academy Podcast is a passion project that my team and I kicked off in early 2020. As we are all facing the unprecedented events and experiences impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, we find that there is an urgent need to unite the global community of educators and leaders to progress forward together. Our main objective is to create a platform for all global leaders and global communities to come together to document these historic moments for our future generations. SkyGems Academy Podcast is a platform for everyone from all around the world to share, listen, learn, communicate, collaborate, and come together to network and help one another to pull through this very challenging period that has impacted the global community. In each episode of SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1, How COVID-19 Transformed the Education Industry, you will find yourself immersed and engaged in in-depth discussions and thought leadership in various aspects of education, technology, humanity, diversity, disparity, and collaborations in the education space. We are very grateful and sincerely appreciate each and every one of you who has motivated us, encouraged us, contributed in your own very special ways, especially our 40 exclusive guest speakers from all around the world. A big thank you to all and a big shout out to all of you. SkyGems Academy Podcast 17th speaker is Simon Hurd. Simon is an innovative education leader. Simon has completed a Bachelor of Education, Masters of Educational Leadership and Management, Master of Educational Studies Merit, and a Masters of Business Administration. Simon has been invited to present at international education conferences in Australia, Vanuatu, South Africa, USA, and Ireland. In many ways, we've been blessed with a once-in-a-generation opportunity to move from a broken industrial model of education to one that is learner-focused and intent on giving students the agency over their learning that they have desperately craved, said Simon. Now, I'm pleased to introduce you to and present you to Simon Hurd. Today, this very morning, we have a very special guest all the way from Sydney, Australia. And we have with us today Mr. Simon Hurd, and he is very welcome to join us at SkyGems podcast. A very good morning to you, Simon.
G'day, Alyssa. It's great to be with you and the listeners here on the podcast. I'm the principal here at Medowie Christian School in New South Wales, Australia. And for us, it's a great experience and opportunity to connect with others around the world and share a little bit of the Australian experience of COVID, and for us, our commitment to communication with our community in new and innovative ways, to have a really strong foundation of distributive leadership that help us to continue to rise to new heights. And part of our journey here at Medowie has been through COVID to actually see an opportunity to connect with our broader community and new markets through looking at how we can do distance education fully. And we've got an application in with our government to actually be a lead school in our country in that space. So the opportunity to connect, the opportunity to hear other stories through the podcast arena in education and other fields through COVID is really exciting for us here in Australia.
Well, thank you, Simon. Thank you for that lovely introduction of yourself, and also so much sharing and so much value we can actually all learn from you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and also thank you for your kindness and generosity to join us at SkyGems podcast.
Thank you.
Well, Simon, how do you feel currently about the COVID-19 pandemic situation?
Whilst the human tragedy that's unfolded globally has challenged the concept of global interaction and trade, with many new unheralded barriers being implemented, I feel that COVID-19 has indeed in many ways removed barriers in education that have existed for so long. It's opened up global connectedness and an opportunity to harness the tsunami of change for the betterment of student outcomes. In many ways, we've been blessed with a once-in-a-generation opportunity to move from a broken industrial model of education to one that's learner-focused and intent on giving students the agency over their learning that they've desperately craved. It's been like a television remote that has allowed us to fast forward a paradigm shift that has been long dreamed of by adding and responding to the needs of our global modern economy. John Maxwell is known often for having said that anything worthwhile is uphill. And in times of crisis, that hill just becomes steeper. And we've experienced that in education over recent times. For me, this captures my reflections well. Yes, COVID-19 has required significant work as a leader to create new paradigms, but the journey up the hill has allowed us the opportunity to take moments to gaze at the new horizon along the journey and to celebrate together in unity. Leadership in crisis for me is an exciting opportunity to lead, to clarify vision, and to continue to move forward whilst navigating the challenges. So for me, it's all about the opportunity to embrace new thinking, to be reflective and challenged by learning from other industries.
Simon, thank you so much for being so transparent and sharing so much level of detail. Really appreciate that. Well, Simon, could you share with us what are some of the challenges that you faced during this period?
As with any new horizon, clear, consistent messages are important. A need for a clearly identified strategy to communicate with all of our stakeholders was seen as a foundation for Medowie Christian School. Our business continuity plans are often not thought of in education. However, for us, early adoption in this and a commitment to engage and consistently review this provided the leadership team with a unified focus. We viewed language as paramount to ensuring our message could be heard and understood clearly, and made a strategic plan for the use of language around learning and the pandemic. We wanted our stakeholders to understand that continuity of learning was of utmost importance to us. We developed a vocabulary that best articulated our message. We were always committed to being agile and informing our community as soon as we could and create a source of truth for them. We were inspired by stories that emerged of other industries that pivoted quickly, such as a liquor distillery in our community that transformed into creating hand sanitizer. Seeing these enterprises pivot encouraged us to engage enthusiastically in identifying remote learning as continuity of learning, being of significance in engaging and empowering our staff to be challenged by the new paradigm that was before us. In the shift to online learning, staff were called to not simply recreate the existing learning within a digital arena, but to begin to truly imagine what we believe and value as learning and how we best facilitate this for our students. Our communication strategy involved myself as the figurehead of the school, valuing a personal engagement with our stakeholders. We felt this personal connection with our families would be reassuring during the crisis, especially with government messages being inconsistent, confusing, and at times contradictory. So we began to create a series of weekly video communications with our parent community. We also maintained our focus on our core values and that of enriching community by launching a Herdy's High Five Challenge each week for students to keep them connected to our learning. The second area of significant challenge related to the need for staff to not only learn new skills themselves, but to develop and deliver lessons in new ways. Essentially, teaching had to change and had to adapt quickly. We were adamant that quality teaching and learning would continue, staff would remain engaged with their students, and that we wouldn't just offer worksheets or busy working for those working at home. So whilst communication was historically been an Achilles heel for us, the development of a communication strategy has provided great trust and reliability in presenting a calm and considered truth in the midst of uncertainty.
Well, Simon, with all those challenges that you have faced, what changes you have made in order to adapt?
For us as the learning environment, one of the most significant challenges was to ensure that physical distancing didn't create social distancing for our young people. The challenge of providing avenues for pastoral care of the students and keeping them connected and engaged with their teachers was paramount in our decisions. Another challenge for us was having to pivot our online platform from a scheduled implementation of a new learning management system to remain with what was already known to staff and create great stability and agility from the beginning. For us, we decided communication was king, so we committed to over-communicate, yet clear, clean, simple communication messages. We chose to use the personalised approach of recording video that was of high quality to engage with our stakeholders. We all understand in times of diversity and challenge that visual contact can be fatiguing. And for teachers, this was really paramount. The reality of VC fatigue and the barrier that this created at times to students engaging with their learning was one that we really needed to strategize. Teachers have had to really think carefully about what's important and how they go about delivering that in an online platform. Essentially, they've had to carefully consider and plan what they intend to explicitly articulate, which for some has been really challenging. In reality, COVID-19 has highlighted the need for leaders to lead in times of crisis, to establish the culture through modelled behaviour that's calm, reflective, but also decisive in the moment, to value teams and communicate a clear, precise, future-focused message of hope is foundational.
What you have done, Simon, is really remarkable. Really applaud you and your team. How did you overcome those challenges faced? Would you be able to share with us, Simon?
For me, in the time of crisis, it provides a leader with the opportunity to actually lead. The opportunity to set the tone for the organisation with the opportunity to ensure clear, consistent communication strategies being evident, as in the broader community we were battling mixed messages from our government leaders. We were determined to fill the void with simple truth. In times of crisis, I believe that it is important to consistently engage with the organisational values and use them much like a compass to be keeping you moving forward in alignment with your purpose. We embraced the opportunity to bring unity to the centre through communication of a clear vision of the shift that we needed to undertake at this point in time. And as Bill Hybels is renowned of saying, that we can't stay here, and challenging us to move forward to a new horizon. We remained committed to distributive leadership and forward focused in our claim of new horizons before us in education. As a result of, and in the midst of COVID-19, we've applied to establish a distance learning campus next year. And at the same time, we've worked collaboratively to create a new paradigm for learning framework, future-focused leadership. So essentially, we overcame our challenges through a strong team that led this future-focused vision rather than simply being anchored to management practices of the day.
Well, Simon, thank you so much for sharing all those challenges that you have faced, how you and your team adapted to it quickly, and also how do you overcome those challenges. Really appreciate all that sharing because it really helps us, every one of us listening in, to understand and also learn from you. Simon, I think it is really important that we hear from you. What are the lessons learned so far so that we can all learn from you?
When rapid change is called for, we can attempt to follow the theory and the game plan that we learnt at university. Or we can play the game as it appears before us with an infinite mindset. We can take significant ground quickly and maintain strong alignment when clarity of purpose is maintained. When stakeholders are closely aligned to the why, the vehicle or the what we do becomes less important and far more flexible than ever before. We were reminded of this, of how as leadership we can often overcomplicate things. And sometimes simplicity brings out the great power and engagement with our stakeholders. In this circumstance, simplicity and speed were necessary. So we had to overcome the idea of having a perfect anything and be prepared to act swiftly and finesse elements of our strategy as we went along. Our approach to supporting and developing the staff required agility as we moved towards a model of partnership or coaching the individuals in the moment that they needed the support, rather than when we were willing or able to provide development opportunities through the traditional staff meetings or professional development days. The challenge of divergent messages from government required us to create our own strategy based upon the best advice and to contextualise this to our community rather than simply using a cookie cutter model and deliver what was suggested. This required us to develop clear commitment to expanding our own thinking beyond the often prescribed challenges that we hold, such as curriculum constraints, to being embracing of a freedom in thought and a commitment to authentic learning and assessment. For me, a key to the success in times of crisis is built upon early action of the leaders, the creation of a clear strategy, and a commitment to rally a united team.
COVID-19 pandemic has hit us all so suddenly and spread so rapidly globally, and it has imposed a lot of challenges in our daily lives. In the education industry, we see a shift and also huge transformation in the way we do things. Simon, in your view, how did COVID-19 change the education industry? What are your views of the changes that may take place in the education industry post-COVID-19? Could you share that with us?
The sad reality is, for many schools across the globe, COVID-19 has been like catching a wave at the beach. You simply embrace it for the moment and check out and move back to the way things were done in an instant. For me, this is the result of management of a crisis such as COVID-19. Not leadership. Schools that, like ours, have embraced the freedoms that have been presented from governing bodies or the opportunities to explore new paradigms are the direct result of a great term I recently heard, leadership. For me, that is what educational leadership right now is about, shifting the focus from a teacher-centric universe to one that embraces the fluency of competencies the OECD have identified, such as student agency being primal in the learning journey. COVID-19 has provided us with opportunities to explore the way that we learn and assess based on neuroscience, and the value of feedback as being the most significant form of learning. The challenges of student learning in remote locations, being physically distanced from their teacher, has required a greater focus on what meaningful feedback looks like and how it's delivered. For me, the opportunity to explore long-held traditions in education, such as the periodised school day, with each subject having its own silo to the regurgitation of information, to be firstly challenged is of significance for us. And secondly, changed beyond what has been in play. This will be the greatest outcome of educational leadership shifting culture. The paradigm that allows for schools to be explicit, to question their purpose, and to consistently ask the question why will, in my opinion, see education truly experience what many still espouse as new century learning. Yes, we will always need to gain levels of knowledge. However, the thing that education should learn from COVID-19 is that knowledge in itself is somewhat useless without a purpose. We know a lot about COVID-19, the virus, but the real knowledge and power that this crisis shows us is the application of that knowledge in new ways, such as treatments being explored and innovations established. For me, this is the enduring paradigm shift education must hold to. Not just knowledge for a test, but learning for a lifetime, engaging with new horizons.
Thank you, Simon, for sharing your views. Certainly, it will be interesting to see how things shape up in the future. Simon, could you share with us what is your new normal right now?
Ultimately, as a leadership, we've been inspired to create a whole new paradigm for learning. We've continued to look forward and have begun to create a new learning framework that will allow for continued use of some explicit instruction, along with new approaches that involve a greater student agency in the achievement of their outcomes. We've been inspired to rethink the school day, its commonplace structures and tightly held conventions, with us learning to ask the simple question that many toddlers ask persistently: why? We clearly don't have all the answers, and we've been inspired to look beyond education learning from many other businesses that have had to pivot. We've reviewed what Simon Sinek would refer to as the why in order to exist and reinvent ourselves beyond COVID-19. For Medowie Christian School, we've been reminded to dream big, to take the ground that appears before us in the moment, and to action our values daily and not be limited in our thinking. So we need to be more agile than ever and more united with each other and the broader community, because together we are stronger. In life, we can often become limited in our thinking or by comfort, to focus simply on the rear view mirror rather than the road that lies ahead of us through the windscreen. We all know the danger of trying to drive a car forward by looking backwards out of our rear view mirror. So now is the time to take stock of the purpose, or as Simon Sinek suggests, time to clarify the why. We have committed to find time to revisit our purpose and identify new vehicles for engaging the framework of learning in the midst of a global pandemic. The new normal for Medowie Christian School will be, as Rasmus Ankerson says in his book Hunger in Paradise, to describe a new consistent way to disrupt what we are doing, to remain focused on the value that we add to our learners, whilst remaining connected to the world in which we're preparing them for, so that the success we've experienced through COVID-19 is established as a culture of innovation continues to be embraced. So the new normal, in essence, is the freedom to take the genesis of what COVID-19 has provided, and much like the athlete's exercise, our new opportunities every day continue to grow and adapt us, helping us to become more agile and more intuitive, a stronger organisation like the athlete through greater unity and determination.
Simon, thank you so much for sharing all that with us. Now we come to the very important part of the podcast episode. Simon, what are your messages for the future generations?
As a leader who values distributive leadership and delegated authority to go with that, I was reminded of this significantly from the very first meeting we held to explore our strategic response and business continuity plans back at the beginning of February. To engage conversation with a wide range of staff beyond the leadership team and to seriously listen. New ideas were forthcoming and potential roadblocks to the future were removed early, allowing a greater sense of connectedness and community through the engagement in this model. As you enter into a time warp, let go of your preconceived ideas of staff in relation to their capacity to engage with new paradigms. Continue to regularly be aware of celebrations along the journey and calibrate a culture of thankfulness, highlighting the enthusiasm created when staff explore and achieve what we couldn't see in them. You'll be both inspired and encouraged as your community becomes stronger and more innovative. Don't let go of your core values, as they will become the compass that you need in times when things seem so far out of control. Use the organisational values you have to align thinking, strategy and action, and you'll be encouraged how far you travel. Embrace the challenge. Fill the void. Be calm and consistent in your demeanour and messaging, developing a strategy and execute it clinically. Don't look back. Don't wish away the moment too soon. Finally, I'd say this is a clear moment for inspiration and change. This is the moment for us to make the shift, engage in the new paradigm and become what we were truly supposed to be as an organisation. Learning environments for all, enabling access for all, promoting pastoral care, diving deep into daily learning mindsets. So take hold of the opportunity. Embrace the discomfort that you may experience. Embrace the disruption as a moment for innovation and entrepreneurial thinking to reimagine what could and should be your organisation's success and future.
Well, Simon, thank you so much for the lovely episode. It was really great listening to all the sharing that you've given us and all those very amazing and insightful points that you have actually shared. It is really of great lessons that we can all take from you and value that we can apply to our day-to-day. So, Simon, thank you so much for the opportunity again. And thank you so much for your time. And also the pleasure and honor of getting to know you and working with you. Thank you so much, Simon. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Alyssa, and thanks to the listeners.
Thank you, Simon. You have a wonderful day ahead.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode at SkyGems Academy Podcast Series 1 on the topic of how COVID-19 transformed the education industry. If you enjoyed today's episode and you love the vision and mission of SkyGems Academy, can you please help us to convince others to tune in to SkyGems Academy Podcast too? Please kindly subscribe to SkyGems Academy Podcast. Please also kindly leave a quick review and rate SkyGems Academy Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm, Breaker, and various SkyGems Academy's podcast channels. That would mean the world to us, so thank you so much for your support. Visit our website at www.skygemsacademy.com to find out more about our distinguished speakers and about SkyGems Academy. We appreciate you and your continuous support. Thank you for tuning in to SkyGems Academy podcast. High five and peace out!